Hello, this is Ganesh, serial entrepreneur, promoter of consumer internet companies like BigBasket, Portea Medical, Fresh Menu, Home Lane, and others. Very happy to be here.
Hello, this is Mridu Bhandari, editor special projects at Network 18, and it's a pleasure to have Ganesh with us on this very special podcast in which we're discussing the various fallouts, the various facets of the COVID-19 global healthcare emergency. And Ganesh, first up, I want to start by asking you, you've invested in a number of companies, about 13 at last count, if I'm not wrong. How is Q1 of 2020 looking for most of these businesses?
Okay, so the good news, perhaps the only good news is Q1 has been good because January, February, March, this whole thing started affecting really badly in the last 2 weeks of March. So if you look at plan, budget versus numbers, the quarter one is almost there, fine. But unfortunately, the bad news is the last 2 weeks of the quarter, that is last 2 weeks of March, and entering into the new quarter, April, May, June, is very dismal. Right? I don't want to overemphasize that. Obviously, a pandemic, it's like a black swan event. It's like a war,
Right.
unprecedented. I have never seen this in 58 years of my life. So it is bad. And right as we speak, as we entering into the next quarter, April, May, June quarter, a lot of uncertainties on how long it will last, when will it start returning to normal, how much time will it take to return to normal, and what really is the new normal? Is it going to be the same? Is it going to be different? Those are all unanswered questions. But right now, the focus for companies is to see how to weather this time.
Right. And I also want to talk to you today, especially on business productivity during times of a national lockdown. Now, we're in a 21-day lockdown in India. We don't know if this is going to be extended or not. Let's talk a little bit about keeping business productivity alive. A lot of companies are thinking out of the box. For instance, hospitality chains are turning themselves into quarantine facilities. Alcohol manufacturers are starting to manufacture hand sanitizers for the public. So would you say that only a very quick change in business strategy, whether it's in product, service, or anything else, can really help businesses get out of this impending recession that we're looking at?
I think what you said is right. One is this is a warlike situation. Therefore, at this time, I would say that you have to see what does the world need? What does your customers, what does the market need? And based on the assets that you have, this could be the expertise of people, it could be the infrastructure, it could be the technology, whatever you have as your assets in this current pandemic situation, what does the world need? And can the two match somewhere so that you're able to provide the same? I think that is the most critical aspect. I want to answer this in three segments. One is, what do you do during the lockdown? How does this affect? Two, what do you do post lockdown when slowly normalcy is returning? And three, post normalcy return, how do you handle it? So right now we are in the first phase. So in the first phase, people are repurposing their assets, people to do what is required. Two reasons. One is the opportunity, and second is no longer the earlier services are required. Let me give specific examples. Portea Medical, for example, which provide home healthcare services. It takes care of elderly and chronic patients at home. We are the largest employer of physiotherapists in India. We have close to 700 physiotherapists across 16 cities. Now, physiotherapy mostly is an elective procedure. Okay. At this time, during lockdown, when you are supposed to keep social distance, literally nobody wants physiotherapy. Even people who are recovering from knee replacement and all that stuff for rehabilitation also, they can do small physiotherapy on their own and not take a physiotherapist. So that business has completely gone during lockdown. Okay. On the other hand, people want home services. They are locked down, they cannot go to hospital. hospitals are dangerous places to go to in such times. So even for things which otherwise they would have gone to hospital, they want services at home. So physiotherapy doctor repurpose for this purpose. So I'm just giving you one example of this. This is what all of us are doing. Some of them, like one of my companies, BigBasket, for example, is pretty clear. It's the same need, same business. Lots more people need it. They can't travel outside. They don't want to travel outside. So there, it's 10 times the business volumes, and we are choking with all the.
But let me also talk to you a little bit about productivity from home. And we are all on this work from home mode. During a pandemic is not going to augur very well for the whole work from home scenario, because people are going to get really tired of it and wanting to come back to office. What's your take on that?
No, I really don't agree with that. Obviously, what's happened is that because of the sudden developments, we are forced to work from home. And combined with that, various other restrictions of having children and rest of the family members not even going out, only sitting in the same home, okay, at the 24/7. That puts huge amount of sociological pressure in the family relationship. So right now, what is happening in terms of productivity, right now, what is happening in terms of work output is a reflection not of work from home, but it's a reflection of combination of various things, which all will go away. Otherwise, when things get normalized, when your children can go to school, when you can get cooks and maids and helpers to come home, when you can work in your room without getting distracted by everybody into the 2-bedroom apartment, you will see a completely different way.
Do you believe that more face-to-face interaction and being together physically drives innovation in a much better way? Or would you say that today's technology tools, collaboration tools are good enough for all of us to really take advantage of and really not bother about getting physically together to drive innovation in a business?
No, I am still a bit of old economy person, because despite promoting all these new age companies. So if you ask me, there are, first of all, meetings in corporates, meetings in large companies is 90% a waste of time. Okay. And for those meetings, doing it from home, doing it from this is actually much better, because people are more to the point. They will come on time. It will be more efficient. I think that's very good. Now, there will be certain functions, certain sectors where it can be argued that work from home is still far away from bringing in full effectiveness. You talked about innovation. You talked about, brainstorming or thinking through stuff where you want to sit. Things like people do in offsite. Put people together, make them bond together, make them iterate and come up with solutions. Those things still, I'm sure, will require.
Your advice to startup founders or to entrepreneurs, even CEOs of large companies who are having to operate from home in these times, what is your tip, your advice, your mantra for really maintaining high productivity as we all work from home?
It's very simple rules to follow. One, work from home does not mean out of sight, out of mind. You need to have a regular touch base as you would have had in office. Whether it means a 15-minute, 10 o'clock touch base, or a half an hour, 5 p.m. touch base, twice a day, ensure that your direct reports, your teams, the way you would have pressed flesh in an office situation, you do a Zoom, WebEx, or Skype huddle. Don't let that go away. That's critical. That's important. Point number one. Point number two, use this opportunity to change the workflow process to make meetings more productive. What do you mean by that? Ask people to send their points. Okay, in meetings, a lot of people waste time trying to inform, which the information could have been sent earlier. So I would rather that send a one-pager earlier before the meetings, share it with everybody, use any of the collaboration tool, and let people read it so that the meetings becomes more productive and straight.
Fantastic. Ganesh, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and hope to see you again soon on one of the Network 18 platforms. Wishing you good health and good prosperity ahead. Stay safe, stay indoors. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.